Out there, my last fight, I didn't throw a lot of the things that I normally do. I was very hesitant in that last fight. I think knowing that he was waiting for me to overcommit so he can counter with that big right hand or look for the takedown. But now that I felt him, I felt his strength. I know what he feels like. Especially in that last round, I had it figured out in that last round. I can go out there and just let it all out, you know. And he hasn't seen everything that I can do. So I think I have the advantage in that. Not saying it's going to be easy at all, because as you can see, it takes one shot. It takes one shot to take it out, and that's what makes this game so exciting, you know. And he's the champion for a reason. So I cannot take this guy lightly, which fuels me to train as hard as I can for this fight March 4th. You can't leave it in the judge's eyes, and I know that. So that definitely that fuels me, man. I'm itching the bits to go back out there and do it again. When they announced him as the winner, I was like, wait a second, I know I did better than that. But I didn't have time to really soak it in. As soon as I turned around, Dana was like, wait, it was a draw, stay up here. So I didn't have time to really to think about that, you know? So, you know what, it's a draw, it is what it is. We're running it back, we're ready for round 2. I'm not the type of guy to make excuses, but I literally, if I sat there and I thought about it, there's a lot of things going on. That was the biggest card in UFC history, Madison Square Garden. The fans was crazy. I mean, the whole event was just nuts. And, you know, Chris Weidman would tell you it's his fault. And I'm not going to give him that. I'm not letting that get to me. You know what I mean? I went out there and did what I had to do, but it just wasn't enough. I went back and watched the fight. I was like, man, what was I thinking? I could have done this, I could have done that. My coaches ate me alive going back and watching that fight, knowing I could have done a whole lot better than what I did. Of course, immediately after the fight, he was talking about, you know, we have unfinished business. I know Daniel White was talking about it, immediate rematch. So in my head, I was like, oh, we're doing this. But the next thing you know, he's talking about other fighters, you know, talking about George, Nick Diaz, Conor McGregor, even going up a weight class fighting Bisping. So I'm like, he's talking about these other guys, but the guy he drew with. You know, and in my head at the time, I'm like, how can the champion be okay with that? I know I wouldn't be, you know. I feel like I wouldn't win. It's like the belts of participation trophy right now. And it's just not that way. So I'm thinking, you know, I was thinking at the time, you know, he's talking about everybody else but me. So I had already signed the contract in December, early December before Christmas break. And so I was just waiting on him. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to post this up. It was a picture of me and him, both of our hand raised with my signature. And I just said, waiting on you, my friend. And of course, not knowing at the time, he was already getting ready to sign the contract. Obviously, he was talking, kind of, you know, playing the game, so to speak. But it helped it along a little bit, made it a little bit faster.
I got to ask you how you felt yesterday. He made some headlines with his comments about how race, you know, plays into promotion and that sort of thing. And you're kind of sitting there next to him. I mean, what was your feeling like at that time? I mean, was it uncomfortable for you? Did you buy into anything that he was saying? What was that whole experience like for you?
You know what? Yeah, I really didn't. I haven't seen his side of everything. I've never spent time with him and what goes about with the UFC and the management. But in my head, I'm thinking, John Jones, one of the best guys out there, who's one of the biggest stars in the UFC at the time. And of course, you know, he was kind of his own enemy there. Anderson Silva, another guy, one of the best guys. I mean, he's the GOAT. You know what I mean? I'm looking at these fighters, I'm like, these guys, to me, it hasn't been treated any differently, but obviously I haven't seen his side, haven't been around him, haven't seen what's going on with the UFC. But who doesn't know Tyron? You know? I don't know what the money's like. I don't know what they've negotiated with, you know, endorsements or anything like that. I don't know. So, but all these other names are popping in my head. Like I don't see it. You know. And for me, I'm looking at Tyron saying, you know what? Focus on the fight. Just focus on the fight. Don't worry about all this other stuff till after, because I want to fight the best Tyron Woodley, and I don't want him focused on this and not focus on the fight. You know what I mean?